Namaste and good morning, everyone. So we are going to see what Lord Krishna says about this often used word, demotivation. Okay? People say that, oh, I'm not motivated enough. So what do we learn from Bhagavad Gita? So let's listen to these three verses from two chapters, chapter 11 and chapter 18. And Karuna is the one who's singing these. And then I'll go over the details on these. Thank you, Karuna.
तस्मात् त्वमुत्तिष्ठ यशो लभस्व जित्वा शत्रून् भुङ्क्ष्व राज्यं समृद्धम् मयैवैते निहताः पूर्वमेव निमित्तमात्रं भव सव्यसाचिन् सहजं कर्म कौन्तेय सदोषमपि न त्यजेत् सर्वारम्भा हि दोषेण धूमेनाग्निरिवावृताः यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णो यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्रीर्विजयो भूतिर्ध्रुवा नीतिर्मतिर्मम.
Thank you very much, Karuna. So, demotivation. What do we really say it in Hindi? Demotivation is when we don't have utsahin, right? We don't have any enthusiasm to do something. Or there's a lack of interest about our work, whatever we are supposed to do. What really causes people to lose motivation? It could be lack of confidence, boredom, unmanageable workload, or sometimes it could be unsuitable working environment, the people you are working with, or even a lack of career progression. You don't see any movement there. Feeling unappreciated. Or there could be some issues at the family level. It could be illness, financial worries, bereavement, any one of those reasons. How do you recognize demotivation in yourself and other people? We can always look for these changes in the behavior and attitude. It could be lack of punctuality, because motivated person will be on time. There could be a change in mood towards others, increased absence in your work, lack of a focus, distantness, negative, inappropriate comments towards others, towards yourself also. And whenever we are working in a group, lack of input. There is a reluctance to take more responsibility. And a demotivated person can affect the other people too in the team. There are 10 types of demotivations. It could be by fear. It could be by setting up the wrong goals or lack of clarity about what you want. You're not clear, and then you just become demotivated. Or there could be a conflict in the values. Two or more values are important to you, but you believe that you can't satisfy all these values. And you say, I don't want to do any of it. You can be demotivated by lack of autonomy, lack of challenge. Extremely intelligent people, if they are not challenged enough, they get demotivated. Demotivated by grief, loneliness, burnout, or sometimes what to do next? What is the purpose? We got to cultivate healthy habits to keep ourselves motivated. The Yogi Guru says, keep a morning routine. You got to always have a priority list. Got to make sure that we get enough sleep. So in order to have enough sleep, we got to stick to a sleep schedule. These days, as they say, avoid the blue light exposure 2 hours before you go to bed. 2 hours before, if you want to have a deep sleep. Pay attention to your food, your drink. Create a comfortable environment. We need to take charge of our life. Eat healthy. Stay active. And practice healthy coping strategies. That means meditation, relaxation, deep breathing, or even sometimes there's a guided imagery which we do in Yoga Nidra. That really helps. Or a gratitude practice. We often worry about the negatives in our life, forget how many positives are there. If there's a one part of our body is sick, that doesn't mean the rest of the body is sick. If one tooth is hurting, we just pay attention to only that tooth. How about the rest of the mouth, our tongue, and the entire body? Schedule time for all of this if you want to stay motivated. So let's look at the verses which Karuna recited for us beautifully. Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, stand up. We saw in all these chapters that he got demotivated because of fear, because of attachment to the outcome. Otherwise, physically he was healthy, highly skillful. There was no other archer like him. But he got demotivated. He sat down. He said, I'm not going to fight. So Lord Krishna is telling him, Uttisht. That means to stand up. So this standing up is not just a physically standing up. It's like it motivates yourself to the call of the duty. Stand up, Only then you will obtain fame. You remember in the second chapter, he told him that people will laugh at you. And a person who has been honored, insult is the worst thing which can happen to you. So now he's telling him, if you stand up, you will obtain fame. You'll conquer the enemies and enjoy the flourishing kingdom. He says, by myself, they have already been slain. Okay? Because he showed him the future also. He was lucky enough to have a God as his guru who could show him the future too. But we can also remember these verses, remember the words of Lord Krishna or our guru, and keep ourselves motivated. He says, verily, by myself, they have been already been slain. You just become a mere instrument. How can we become just an instrument if we stay on the path of yoga? If we offer all our karma, all our actions to God, doing it for God, the fruit is his, not mine. Whatever prasad he wants to give it to me, I'll take it. But the rest is all his. Then we are a mere instrument. Nimit matram. No matter what we are doing, we should always think like that. We'll stay motivated. I'm doing it for God. God knows. If he wants success, he'll arrange that. If he wants a failure in this endeavor, that's his. Not mine. I have a small part to play. No matter what you do. So over here, Lord Krishna is very directly telling us how to stay motivated. Because often when we keep on thinking about the fruit and we think we'll fail, we become demotivated. If we offer the fruit and think we are just in the myth matra, we are just an instrument in here, then there's no worry. It's his work. To every thinking person, this truth should be obvious in life. We are only an instrument in his hands. We are generally not ready to accept this proposition because our self-arrogating ego sense in us will not let us retire like this. We don't want to accept that this is a divine in us which is playing out its omnipotence. Everywhere in all our activities, when we analyze each one of our actions, we find that our actual combination in them, in all of them, is just a meager share. We cannot take 100% responsibility of any action, whether it's a successful or a failed action. We got to look at it, what nature has supplied to us. And whose nature is this? God's nature. He is the one who created this earth and the air and the fire and everything over here. Whatever we use, those 5 great elements. And no achievement is ever possible without these elemental forces, these bhoots. There were 2 jugs. One had the hot water and the other cold water. And the mother told that child, mix them and get the required lukewarm water. If the child boasts that he created or made it, the mother, in all her instinctive kindness, may congratulate the child, but she knows what the reality is. That's how it is in this world also. The divine up there, he knows, divine is everywhere. He knows what is happening. We just become boastful that we did it. Even after this Mahabharat war, you know what happened? Lord Krishna told Arjun to get down that chariot. Arjun hesitated, but then Lord Krishna insisted. Arjun got down. Then Lord Krishna came down. And what happened to the chariot? The whole chariot got inflamed with fire. Because all those weapons which attacked the chariot, Lord Krishna protected that chariot and Arjun with his power. Here Arjun was thinking that I'm the greatest warrior. I won the war. No. We should always remember this. The concept of self-surrender, the theory of serving the world, should be constantly in our awareness. These are not idle dreams prescribed for escaping the realities of the world. They are the fundamental truths. It is essential for all of us to raise our caliber, temper, to work efficiently, skillfully, achieve success, but never forget the ultimate, the divine's working. So that's how we can keep ourselves tirelessly in the mood of enthusiasm. God is with us. I'm doing it for him. Why shouldn't I be enthusiastic? Have you ever seen any yogi or a guru or a saint ever saying that we are tired? We don't want to do it. They're always optimistic. Even the way they walk, the way they sit, the way they talk, it shows their enthusiasm. They'll never say no. I have seen my own Guruji in the middle of the night also. If we found out some Bhagat needed his help, somebody is in pain, he'll go there or he'll call for him and get up and help him. I have seen him, I have traveled with him in the planes and in the trains and in the buses. Everybody else is sleeping and he's writing, answering the letters or writing the books. That is enthusiasm. And he never said that I'm doing it for myself. And he never even said that I am doing it. First of all, he never said much, but if he said something, it really meant that, hey, it's God's work. God is doing it. I'm just in the myth. And we know that Arjun had some very grand reasons to be afraid over there. Dronacharya was his teacher. He's the one who taught him, and he was on the other side, in the army side. And this Acharya, Dronacharya, had some special weapons. He was particularly rewarded and respected by Arjuna also. So how can you shoot at your teacher? So Arjun was afraid. And the grandfather, Bhisham Pitama, he had his death at his command. And he had very powerful celestial weapons also. And Jayadratha, he was practically invincible. And his own father was engaged in tapasya, Jayadratha's father. And his firm resolve that whoever causes my son's head to drop down on earth, his head too shall fall. And Arjun knew that. Karan, he was also on the Kaurva side, had a powerful missile given to him by Indra. So look at this. But still, Lord Krishna is telling him, have the confidence, have the enthusiasm, get up and fight. That means do your duty. So we should learn that from this verse, Uteshta. Okay? So it's not just only a body Uteshta, the mind should be Uteshta too. With a enthusiastic mind, we should do our duties. And sometimes we think that whatever we are doing is not right. Because just like Arjuna over here, fighting against his teacher, his grandfather, his cousins, morally, ethically, he thought that was wrong. So that's why this verse number 48 in this chapter 18, which Karuna recited for us, Lord Krishna says one should not abandon the duty to which one is born, even though faulty. Then he gives the reason. He says, all undertakings enveloped by evil. Because there is some kind of a dosh in all the actions. We can be walking outside. We don't know how many bugs we are killing. We are eating something. How many bacteria are going inside us? He says, are not all undertakings enveloped by evil? As a fire by smoke, he gives the example of a fire and a smoke. Because sometimes we use this reasoning, no, what I'm doing, it's not right, so I'm not going to do it. Those are just only signs of demotivation. So Lord Krishna says, don't do that. No work is free from defect. We cannot even breathe without killing millions of microbes. When we cultivate the land also, we destroy innumerable organisms. How many little creatures they have to run away from that land? We deprive those creatures of food. But if farmer says, I'm not going to cultivate the land because I am depriving these animals, that's not how he works. So every action definitely has some kind of a flaw in it. But we got to see what is our duty to do in any given time. So he says, na tyajet. One should not abandon. So his advice very clearly that we should not relinquish our duties. at all times, in all situations. And the calmer our mind is, the clearer our vision will be. What are we supposed to do right now? When we studied this verse in detail, when we were going through the whole Bhagavad Gita, I was telling you that there are certain sanskars we are born with. And certain vasanas, we just, without paying much attention, we keep on adding to our personality. So what are we born with? We got to pay attention. Sahajam. That's what he's saying. Sahajam karam kontya. Sahajam means which is inborn. So what we are born with, we are supposed to clean it. And we got to be careful not to add while we live here through the environment. Born into. So these terms, if we keep it in our mind, it becomes very easy. We don't get unnecessarily involved while we are doing our duties. So doing duties, because our duties are based upon our stage in life, our status in the society. According to that, we have certain duties. We got to do those and clean the chitta. Because there are two forces that control and guide, define and determine our actions. So the impulses brought forth by the pressure of the mental temperaments within and the pressure of the environment that tickles new temptations. So these new temptations are the one which I told you born into. But impulses which you brought with you, that is born with. So we must courageously do our duties, but with equal courage, equal enthusiasm, we should renounce all the demands that the objective world makes upon us. Okay, so enthusiasm should be there that, hey, I don't want to make my life, make my mind more complicated. Because this mind of mine will travel with me in future also. Got to keep it clean. So the vasanas you are born with are to be lived through without ego and desire. While the vasanas creating atmosphere, we need to not contaminate our personality further. Another way you can remember, the dirt which is inside the house, it's my duty to clean it. But then I got to be careful that I don't leave the windows open or the door open if there's some storm outside. Okay, so more dirt from outside, or even when we walk inside our house, what do? We wipe our feet. We don't even take the outdoor shoes inside our house. We just leave them at the doorway. Because inside we want to keep it clean. But at the same time, regularly we clean it too. So the same thing happens with us also. The vasanas we were born with, we got to clean. The vasanas which are coming through the environment, we got to control them. So this is what the sadhak does. Constantly striving hard to stand apart from the shackling effects of the environment. We cannot control the environment. That's not in our hands. Today, if it's minus 15 degrees outside in Chicago, we cannot control it, but we can control to stay inside. Or if we have to go outside, wear proper clothes, proper shoes. Only that much is in our hands. According to Lord Krishna, we are the master of the circumstances. To the extent that we come to assert this mastery, to that extent we are evolved. Okay? So when we feel the master of our circumstances, sure, we'll be enthusiastic. We'll be motivated. But when we become burdened, then of course we get demotivated. So again, all actions are clouded by the flaws. So this work of ours should elevate us. It must be done with a proper attitude. And this motivation or demotivation is just an attitude. We got to have a proper attitude. Let's look at the last verse also of this. Third verse is actually the closing verse of Bhagavad Gita. You're all familiar with. And this verse is recited by Sanjay, the charioteer. He's the one who's telling Dhritarashtra. So not only to Dhritarashtra, he's telling us also. He says, wherever is Krishna, the Lord of Yoga, wherever is Parth, the archer, there are prosperity, victory, happiness, and steady your firm policy. This is my conviction. So again, in this closing verse, clearly we can see that if we remember this all the time, how can we get demotivated? We are supposed to do our duty. We are the Arjuna over here. And we should not forget the God who's with us all the time. He is the Lord of Yoga. He is united with us all the time. Our mind is the one which has created this wall. We think God is somewhere else in the seventh heaven. But beyond that, Vaikuntha. No. God is right here with us. Didn't Lord Krishna showed Arjuna? The divine is everywhere. There's no place where divine is not. In the chapter where that Virat Roop was shown to Arjuna, didn't he see that God's form, there is no beginning and no end? So many mouths and so many eyes and so many ears and so many arms and legs. And such a shine. What did he say? He said like thousands of suns are shining at the same time. Shine is not a darkness. When there's a shine, we should be enthusiastic. Today, even the temperature is so low in Chicago, but sun is shining. And it brightens our mood. But when we can remember that God who is shining all the time and who is with us, not away from us, the clouds of the arrogance and the ignorance or the doubt or demotivation, who developed those clouds? We did. By remembering this fact that God is with us. But then just don't think that he will do everything. We are in a karam yoni. That's why it's said over here that yatra partha dhanurdhara. We got to do our duty. That's why I was telling you those little steps. Get up early in the morning at the same time every day. Do your yoga, do your meditation, do your prayers, do your pranayama. Anybody who does that, I can give you in writing that cannot be demotivated. Because you feel God with you first thing in the morning. And the last thing also, before sleeping, if you don't have that phone and the TV in your hand, 2 hours before, let it go. That is the biggest evil actually these days. Doesn't let us sleep deeply. If we follow this, we will feel, and you got to do that pranam to God. When was the last time we did that deep pranam before sleeping also? Right before sleeping, there are mantras where you offer your obeisance to God. There are special mantras for the morning, special mantras when you put your foot on the ground first time. Be thankful to the floor. And I hope you all pray before you eat also. If we do that, then we'll feel that Lord of Yoga is with us. What is there to worry about? What is there to complain? Why not be enthusiastic like the gurus stay enthusiastic? Did you ever see even the avatars, Lord Ram, Lord Krishna, ever demotivated? Or any guru which you have in your life, ever demotivated? So we got to remember these verses, beautiful verses, where clearly he's giving us the scheme to stay motivated. Do not use any excuse. That's why the previous verse, he said, every karma, there is some kind of a flaw. So do not focus on the flaw. Focus on your duty only. And over here, he says that if you want victory, because we want victory, we want expansion, bhuti, we want prosperity. He says, if you want all this, it's there for you. You don't have to go anywhere. Remember, do your duty. Remember, you are with God is with you all the time. Stay enthusiastic. So this is what we learned from these three verses. So anytime you feel little down, go back to these verses, any one of them, and find the motivation. Let's end the class here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Visheshyate Om Shanti 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 Om.